well, not sitting on it. They just haven't released it yet. And so we're not sure what's going to happen with the funding for that one program.
Okay,
That's
that's helpful. I mean, it's
Yeah.
good. That's good news that you've gotten 3 for the August one. So
Yeah, it is good. Yeah. Considering that they're at a very reduced staff, it is good news.
okay, sorry y'all, but that's a helpful update as we go forward.
Great question, Amy. We'll go ahead and get started because we're already 7 minutes over. Really just thanks to be here, Amy. We'll dive in deep on, since you said you need to play catch up, but Jim, if you would just go ahead and discuss the state service plan and any information that you need from the committee so we can move forward. I had recalled that we had previously discussed this, so we should be in a good point state to just make some decisions and move forward with based on our committee.
Yeah. So what we're asking the committees to do, and Anthony, for me, if you can make that document a little bit bigger. What we're asking the committees to do right now is really to think about under each goal, that first question, envisioning we're successful, what's the outcome at the end of 3 years, so 2028. And we don't have to have like specific numbers at this point, although there are some suggestions below that do have some numbers in them for each one of these goals. The real question is like, what's the ideal outcome that is going to result from the commission working on this goal? And so that we have different committees start at different places so that we can get to every goal, make sure every committee, that at least one committee addresses each goal fully. Anthony, if we could actually start with goal B, because the communications committee started with goal A. So that would be the discussion point, is for the committee to start with goal B. If goal B is all you can get to today in terms of that outcome question in the time allotted, that's fine. But if you can get to goal B, then we would go to goal C and D and then back to A. We probably won't get that far though. So that's the question, is what's the outcome starting with this goal at the end of 3 years? And again, there's some examples that are highlighted, but don't feel constrained. Those are just examples. Don't feel constrained by that. Those don't have to be the outcomes. They're just what could be some of the outcomes, just as examples.
Thanks, Jim. So for clarification, we should look at goal B and say building capacity for volunteer success. That's our goal, is to build. So the goal is actually to build capacity for volunteer success.
Yeah, and right, and when the committee chairs plus one group was talking about that, they kind of put things into different buckets. So goal A is specifically kind of focused on the volunteers themselves, and goal B is more about the actual organizations that are utilizing volunteers. So that's the other caveat about this particular goal, is it's more thinking about how is Volunteer Tennessee approaching that particular goal in building capacity specifically for the organizations that utilize volunteers. And then the ABC underneath it are the different subcategories that the committee chairs plus one developed for this goal. And then the brackets are the types of programs that Volunteer Tennessee currently has that kind of fit within those general subcategories.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I comprehended that correctly. So the goal is to build capacity for volunteer success for the organizations and partners that utilize and place volunteers. We can do that through volunteer placement, grant making, programming, and volunteer promotion and engagement. That's what we're saying?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So with this, I guess I'm wondering, because it seems a little different from the past, like would we try to have a targeted track at this conference for volunteer centers? Because I don't know that that's ever a group we've really strongly targeted, but it seems like we would need to think about doing something like that in order to reach that goal.
Well, Jim, if you, can I answer this just quickly?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the purpose of this, what I'm hearing is that is the action to reach the outcome, and that's not what we're discussing today. We're just focused on the outcome. And so how they plan on getting there, that's a later discussion, right? Of like, they might want to do a track, but we've also been talking internally about, do we need a track? What is actually, we do 50 tracks at the conference, 2 people show up for each track, and then we end up having to go back and say, forget that track. And then Candace has done all this effort trying to create a track. So I think the action's not the focus today, but just what the outcome is. And then I think after that, whoever is assigned to this goal can then go back and determine what action we actually can have that we can do to reach that goal. But I think without the entire committee being here, we can't make that decision on if we should have a track or not at the conference, because when we first started these conversations, we decided let's cut back on the 50,000 tracks that we want to have and focus simply on what we do have the people for and better those avenues.
Yeah, I think
If that
that's a good clarification, Destiny. The other thing I would say is that this is brainstorming. So what you all talk about today is not going to be the final plan. So, the rest of the full commission is going to be looking at this at the August meeting, along with the input from the other committees, and the public input that we're getting from the listening sessions. And they'll kind of look at all of that in terms of the outcomes. But yeah, Dusty, I think the distinction between like an output and an outcome, or an activity to reach an outcome, is a good one to think about. I mean, I think certainly a track at the conference would be a good step, but that might be more of an output rather than an outcome. So, what's going to be the results of what are we hoping to get from that track? It's kind of the question under that first one.
That's helpful. I'll try to stay bigger picture. I just am always thinking about, like, before we make an outcome, can we actually achieve it? So sometimes that's why they're interrelated for me.
Yeah, and it certainly can be very, very helpful to look at outcomes and outputs at the same time. But so, there's not enough time on this call to do that, really, or for any of the committees. But once we have kind of a general idea of where the commission wants to go at the end of 3 years, then we can start kind of building out those outcomes and the activity or outputs and activities that go underneath it to be able to reach that outcome. So don't forget that idea.
So do we have anything for number 1 here, envisioning that Volunteer Tennessee is successful in this goal? What would be the ideal outcomes at the end of the 3 years? Some examples: attendance at the conference will increase by X percentage by 2028. Nonprofit participation in Tennessee Serves will increase by X amount by 2028, etc.
I'm assuming we're going to need data, but what comes top of my head is the outcome would be organizations will have the resources to host volunteers efficiently and effectively. That is just off the top of my mind. Doesn't mean that's going to work. And there was no thought put into that past this 30 seconds of looking at this.
One more time, Destiny. Organizations will have resources to manage volunteer centers. Yeah.
I would love to say I knew what I said, but I think that sounds about right. Orgs will have resources to manage volunteers efficiently and effectively.
Thank you.
Welcome. What happens is I know this is being recorded, and so I don't really I'm like, oh, we'll just go back. And that does not help you. Sorry.
No worries.
And I
Yeah.
also don't know what efficient and effectively means at the top of my head. There's obviously going to need to be data, but. And I think it's say resources to host and manage volunteers. Because there is a difference being a lot of people can host a volunteer, but not manage them.
Cool.
I think the other piece of that is retain.
That-
Maybe that's management, but you definitely, success often comes from the retention of those volunteers.
It's a good one.
And going back to your comment, Amy, like how you need to see actions, like that's helpful for you. I think that that could be done based off of A, B, and C, even if not at the conference. I think that we could figure out a way from our committee to help that. I don't want to dive in deeper that because we only have 20 minutes, but I can see some things happening.
Yeah, and I'll just throw in again. I mean, spend as much time as you want on this, but if you get to a point on this goal that you're like, let's move on to the next one, you can move on to the next one and start working it. I mean, it's again, this is just kind of a brainstorming thing. So, and we're not gonna get to the second and third question under each goal. We're just gonna look at the first one.
Amy, I really think it's just you and I on this meeting, on the committee. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is so far, unless somebody's
Okay.
joined that's
Amy,
not, yeah.
do you have another outcome you want to add for B?
I think if we can achieve that, that's pretty huge.
Okay. Can we, I know that's very broad. I know someone's going to read that and be like, what in the world does that mean? But I think we can, I, the reason why it's so efficient and effectively is because if we say, I mean, I guess we can always do like by 2% or something, we can give a data. Um, but I just don't feel confident in giving that percentage without the historical knowledge of what each agency has actually been able to do. Also, depending on other items and things that come into play with organizations that are nonprofit on how they'll be able to actually achieve these goals.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right for this point in the process is don't worry about the data that needs to go behind. I mean, we can figure that part out later, but I think this is a great start for this one.
Okay. Y'all want to move on to C? Because you said you didn't want us to do 2 and 3 right now, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let's not, yeah, because I think that would, the main thing at this point is to be generating the outcomes, and we can
Okay.
go in and fill in later from, we can build out from the outcomes.
Okay. Sounds great. So the goal for this one is to maximize the value of communications and partnerships to raise awareness. We can do that through information and awareness, supporting corporate volunteer programs, community engagement, story collection and storytelling, sponsorships. I'm always going to say Volunteer Tennessee would be the first source that people would think of. It would be the go-to shop, like the one-stop shop for volunteer opportunities in the state. In addition to First Lady's organization that she has. I mean, what you have?
I think my brain is still processing. Um, Yeah, I like that. I think my first challenge is there's way too many people in my community, and this is on me too, right? But who don't even know what Volunteer Tennessee is. And so I don't know if that is too broad of an outcome, but that people would actually know who Volunteer Tennessee is and why they exist. I mean, I think that feeds into yours, it becoming the first stop. But right now, I don't know if even know if people know.
I think that's great to say that, like, it needs to know why I exist. And I think if when we do this, we need to clarify, right? Like, we're not replacing United Way or any other organizations because we actually work closely with them and people don't know that. And sometimes it's great to be the people behind the scenes. Like, that's kind of our role, right? We want to be behind the scenes and supporting those resources, but we also need to tell our story. So when we have times for legislative sessions or federal budget cuts, people understand the value add that this organization actually brings to the state of Tennessee. And right now, um, we as commissioners don't even know the value add. All of us don't know. So if we could do that better, that would allow us to tell the story out in the public. So yeah, just like Candace said, brand recognition. Thanks for that, Amy. I'm trying to scroll and I realize I'm not controlling that map, so sorry. D. Okay, to operate excellence. So is this supposed to say to operate our internal operations, infrastructure, and support for commission and members and staff with excellence? Is that the goal?
Yeah, the goals above are more outward focused um, goals. Then this one is an inward focused goal
Yeah.
on Volunteer Tennessee itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Thank you. And again, I just asked for clarification because I, just like Amy, I process things differently, so I have to read it in a non-action and past tense. So bear with me.
I'm with you, but I will say, as far as like public understanding, I didn't get to that till I read the part in yellow. So
Okay.
Yeah, and just as a caveat, most of those things that are in yellow are actually kind of outputs and not really outcomes. But in terms of um, thinking about, some examples to get people to start thinking about what the outcomes might be, those were some previous things that were included in previous state plans that were easy enough to kind of stick in there to get the thought process going. But yeah, I mean, it's like, what does operating with excellence look like for the organization itself in 3 years? Where are we when that's done? And that's, I mean, Destiny, to your point, it's good to think about it in the past tense that we've already gotten there and what's happened.
Yeah. Thank you.
I
When I
don't.
read, go ahead, Amy.
I was going to say, I don't, this is so wordsmithing, but that's the world I'm living in right now as we're trying to get all our words right for fall. Um, I think to me, operating with excellence and operational excellence communicate two different things. And so I think, and I don't know if I can't see the goals above to see, are we trying to be all like active verb, start every goal with an active verb? But I think operational excellence describes a little bit more of what you're talking about, maybe. Destiny, what were you going to say?
I am typing it up to make sure it sounds right before I speak. Now this needs to be wordsmith because it sounds a little not ready for the public. But the outcome to me is to have a secure and competent board and organization with the identified succession plan. I'm going to just drop that in the chat because that was a lot. And I don't know if that's accurate, but when I hear that as an outcome is that we want to make sure that everyone from all employees, because I see us talking about members and staff. So secure and like we're secure and we know what our job roles are, even from a commission to a staff member. And then competent is like, we want to make sure as a commissioner, I know what the Foundation of Service Committee actually is, and I can articulate that, which may not, when I first started, I was not competent in what this was, and wasn't competent in my role. But the idea is that through whatever time we're here, we can do that. And we've identified a succession plan, which is beneficial for our board members and our staff, because I'm not trying to be on this board or live to 100 years old. And I don't want to be on a board for 100 years because that means there's nobody coming in with new ideas. So I think succession planning is key in that. So that's why that's in there as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. And Amy, to your point, the other goals are all ING, so supporting, building, et cetera. But I mean, the outcome, I think, can take whatever form you want to suggest. Again, this is brainstorming, so I don't think there's any harm in changing it from operating to operational, however you want to frame it.
Thank you, Candace, for the behind the scenes as well. You'd be a good Secretary of Press, because I can't go into the public with that language. But what you did was stellar. Keep it up.
I got you. I got you. If I can help you, Miss Wordsmith, because you have been spot on this entire meeting. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna try it this time. But no, you just put stuff so clearly. So I agree with you.
Thank you. And y'all, if competent is not a good word, I know that can be like what terms a triggering word for some people because they think of like incompetent. And I'm not saying we're an incompetent board. We wouldn't be on this board if we were incompetent. But anywho, I digress.
And maybe, Jim, to your point, it could be something like achieving operational excellence. Like it could be that there's another verb that goes in front of that if we wanted to.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out, you all may have noticed, but Patricia joined the call.
Hey, Patricia.
Hello. I also don't think you're wrong about the competency thing. It would more be not necessarily a word change, but it's more of just the fact that if you don't understand what you're doing, then it's kind of like you're not competent for the job.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that you're stupid. It's just more of you don't have the competence in order to fulfill the necessary responsibilities.
Yeah. See, that's it. And I know you understand it, but I don't know if other people understand it. So skilled, I don't know. But we can come back to that again. I don't want to hold us up on this.
But I mean, you could also, I don't know, I mean, Anthony, you could put in brackets behind competent or in parentheses or something, whatever, just to note that.
You could also say a skilled board.
Yeah.
Just
something like
options.
that. So either way, I mean, it's just that's where you do the synonym thing. You look at the word.
Yeah.
What are
We'll
synonyms?
work with that later. I just don't want someone to
Yeah.
reread this and be like, they said I'm incompetent. And that's not what Destiny said. Destiny said we could grow, kind of thing. When we first start, we're newbies. We don't know what we're doing. And I'm still a newbie. I'm going to ride that out till the wheels fall off. Okay. Letter E. Do we have an E? Or do we go back to A? Oh, look at us. Can we go
Yeah, I
back
think
to
you
A?
go back up to A, yeah.
Okay, this is actually our area of focus, so this should be more fun for us. Not that the others are not our area of focus, but the committee, this is like truly Foundation of Service committee work more than most people. So the goal is to support a robust network of volunteers and service learners, specifically volunteers. For some reason, secure and competent keeps coming back up to having secure and competent volunteers who are initiating volunteer opportunities with organizations. Maybe consistent volunteer opportunities. Because we do a lot of one-offs on like Martin Luther King Day.
And by secure, do you mean like engaged? Like
Yeah,
they-
engage is probably better. Yep, that's better.
like, okay.
And so, yeah, engage and consistent volunteer members or participation instead of opportunities, Anthony. Because to me, this is more of focusing on the people, and then our other ones below can be focusing on the organizations. But we got to get people who want to actually volunteer more than just once a year. And being
I just have a
engaged.
question. Oh, I
Go
have a
ahead.
question for clarity, Destiny. Are
Mhm.
these volunteers for, like, if we're talking about Tennessee Serves, are these Volunteer Tennessee's volunteer activities, or like the volunteer activities that will be hosted on like our portal?
Both, like all volunteers. So I'm just looking at that says because it says specifically about the
All
volunteers. So I
volunteer.
was just assuming all volunteers. Like we're going to be working from
Mm.
youth to older Americans. You know, whoever is our niche for that year. I didn't say that word right. For that year, that's who we're going to be focusing on. I would assume. But assuming you know what that does.
Mhm. But,
So,
but I was just, like I said, I was just
Yeah.
asking for
And every
clarity.
others,
So.
please tap in.
so another squirrel question, and Destiny, sorry, it's definitely probably more of an output, but it also goes back to that brand awareness. Like, is there any kind of an impact report from Tennessee Serves? Like, is there an annual impact report that even shows how many people are engaging through Tennessee Serves? Like, I know what it is, but I don't ever see any information come out about, is it successful? Is it not? Or any data associated with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we do generally once a year prepare a slide. I mean, it's not an impact report, so maybe an impact report might be a really good thing to think about doing. But it's usually just like a slide that shows over the previous year, like the number of organizations served, the number of volunteers that volunteered, and the number of volunteer hours. So just like some key data points. But an impact report goes beyond that and would potentially be a more useful thing to communicate not only to the commissioners, but to people outside of Volunteer Tennessee about why this is an important thing to do. So anyway, this, we don't currently do an impact report, but that could certainly be a good thing to think about doing coming up.
I'm just trying to think about how do people even know that we have this goal, right?
So the outcome would be to have more engaged and consistent volunteers who utilize Tennessee Serve. Is that what you're thinking, Amy?
I'm just trying to think about, like, yeah, how is this all connected back to the commission? How is it, right? And Tennessee Serves is one of the ways that the commission does this work.
It does. And I'm thinking though, this outcome, how, because I know it's called out already, like that's how we're going to do this is expand reach to all Tennesseans using Tennessee Serves and then awards programs. And so the entire outcome though could just be having more engaged and consistent volunteer members throughout the state of Tennessee.
Isn't
And it
that
could
the
be
point of,
Tennesseans.
oh, I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
isn't that the point of the road show? To where it's like how we have the volunteer roadshow to where it's like more people learn about us.
Yes, that is one part. And I know like we're sharing the strategic plan and getting their input throughout the Tennessee Roadshow. But obviously, yeah, the gist of it is absolutely they're going to know who we are and what we do.
Because I guess it's the question of, is the goal to find to find more volunteers for for AmeriCorps, or what are we actually not for Volunteer Tennessee, not for the commission, but just are to find more AmeriCorps members?
All Tennesseans, for me, I think of all Tennesseans volunteer in whatever area. Not everybody wants to be an AmeriCorps member. Not everybody wants to volunteer for United Way. Not everybody wants to volunteer for CASA. But whatever it is, we want Tennesseans to want to volunteer. If you want to go plant a garden, but make it consistent, right? And so that's how I'm looking at this. So
Got it.
just to have a more engaged and consistent Tennesseans, engaged and consistent volunteers from Tennessee or whatever. I just want Tennesseans to be volunteers. We are known as a volunteer state.
Mhm.
We should never not be the #1 volunteer state in the country. That's
Got
how
it.
I'm looking at it. That's a me thing. I don't know how everybody else, but that's my opinion.
No, that makes sense. The reason why I'm asking is because then I'm thinking about the connections with United Way, Greater Nashville, or with different United Ways in general. How Volunteer Tennessee can get plugged into all those different things in a way to where even with schools. Because if
Yeah.
you have a hub through the school system to where you can get the whole family volunteering, because if at their school there's a resource thing or something like that says, hey, volunteer here or something like that kind of thing.
No, that's really good. And we actually talked about that earlier about how are we going to get these outcomes and these actions. And we decided let's do the outcomes right now. And then because not many people are here for the committee, we can then talk about from a committee standpoint, when more people are here, what can we do as Foundation of Service to reach these outcomes? But if we can at least all identify the outcome that we hope to get from this goal, we can then move forward and let, the state people, when we're going on this roundabout road trip, and we come back to our next commission, we can then sit down as a Foundation of Service when more people will be there and be like, oh, this is how we're going to reach this outcome.
Got it. Just a quick question with the roadshow. So is that what exactly happens on the roadshow? What are people just going around and talking, or what is happening?
Jim, did you want to tell that? I honestly only give what I just read in the email, and so I'm sure it sounds better from you.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, there's going to be two components. The first part is going to be getting public input on this draft set of goals. Kind of doing what we're not doing right now is having the public say, at the end of 3 years, what would you see as the ideal outcome for these goals? So that'll be the first part. The second part is going to be talking a little bit about each of Volunteer Tennessee's various programs, and then networking. So having kind of informal networking time with the people who show up to talk informally about what we do and all that kind of stuff.
Got it. So is it kind of like town hall meeting type style, where it's the group will go to specific locations and then public comes to those locations, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're for the 3 in-person road shows, we have specific locations that staff will be going to, and any commission members who want to go to those in person are welcome to go. I'm going to be sending out the RSVP for the upcoming August meeting today. And in that will be also a request for an RSVP for the roadshow events with the dates and locations. So we'll go to specific places. Then we're also going to be having virtual listening sessions specifically just for the state plan. We're not going to do the networking part. It'll just be the state plan part. And those are virtual, and there's a couple different dates for those. Those are obviously that's virtual, so people can participate from wherever they are. And that's again specifically to do this state service plan input.
Got it. Yeah, I saw the email for that. Thank you.
Those are great questions, Patricia, and right on track to the schedule for our agenda, because we're supposed to be there anyway. So like you just let in the right spot.
You're
of
very
all the
welcome.
That was on key. Amy dropped some good things from the chat GPT. Wow, the chat, that person. Anywho, that are really good. Amy, I don't know if you had a preference before anyone else gave a preference on what 2 words they like to use instead of secure and competent.
I didn't. I just thought that's one of the things when I'm trying to think of other words, I've just found Chat GPT can throw out some really good other alternatives. So
I think skilled and knowledgeable works well. And the reason why I don't want to use execution, because I was going to say skilled and knowledgeable that executes, because our board is a governing board and we should not have our hands in the pot. We need to sit back, we give direction and structure, and we let the staff do what it needs to do. And that's how things work well. Until it's time for us to step in. I mean, there's duty of care, but you get my point. So I don't want to use the words execute, because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I need to show up at every event and be there and put my 2 cents on all the things, because that's not necessary. But I like skilled and knowledgeable. And that's a me thing. We can save this whole list and circle back to it if we need to.
I like that. I like the word proficient, but yes, I think that's captured in
Good.
that too. Yeah. So we're good.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, next thing that's up is Candace, I'm pretty sure. I just assumed it was Candace because it said the sample application, the rubric, and you're the last person who led that. So are we done with the goals? Sorry, are we done with all the outcomes? A, B, C, and D, right? That was just 4 of them?
Yeah, it was just the 4, right? Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, that was good work.
Okay. Now, Jim, we can come back and do action steps when there's more people, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, and so what we'll do is we'll take all the committee work on those draft or those brainstormed outcomes and talk about them at the August 8th meeting. And then the commission, I hope, at the August 8th meeting will make some decisions about which outcomes it actually wants to include in the plan. And then from there, we can start laying out the activities and the outputs.
Okay, I'm gonna speak into existence. August 8th, we're gonna be done. We're gonna rock and roll.
Yeah, all right, well, let's hope so.
From my mouth to the Lord's ears. We'll work it out. All right.
All right, so just an update and just in complete full transparency, I have taken the questions that we approved for the Award of Excellence application. I took the questions that were approved from our last meeting, and I've gotten them transferred over to the SurveyMonkey. Anthony sent me over some things to fix and update, and there are a couple of things that, just a couple little typos here and there. As soon as I'm able to get back in SurveyMonkey, I'll be able to make those corrections and send them out by email. Maybe that way we can get everybody to just sort of say, hey, I approve, or hey, here's this. But I did have just a couple of questions about it. And I think one of those questions, while I'm going back in, is the actual scoring rubric. Is that something that we want actually on the application, or is it okay? Like, where are we placing it? Where are we placing it on the website? Are we going to put it on the application? We can definitely do both. But I think my next question is just making sure that the rubric is good to go from the committee, and then we can take it and I can have it sent out here very soon, because we touched on it, but I just want to make sure that the rubric is good to go. The scoring rubric.
I'll
Great
respond to
question.
one of,
It never
Oh,
moved out of draft. No, go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead.
Go ahead, Amy.
I was just gonna say, one of, I think you asked a couple of questions in there.
I did.
One of them, I think as a former teacher, sharing the rubric, teachers appreciate because
No, I'm going
that
to
is
share
kind
it.
of
I
a,
just need to
yeah, so I
know
think
where.
including it, where, I think so, yeah, definitely in the application. I think it could be at the very end. I mean, I think it could be, I don't think where it is matters as much as just making sure the teachers have it, because I think that is just helpful.
Not to interrupt or cut you off. The last scoring, like when we actually had the point system, Amy, and just to kind of catch you up, we've shortened the application. We've gone from I think collectively now with name, school, person, all of that good stuff, we're landing at about Anthony headed up, but I think maybe like 12 or 13 questions with everything inclusive. So that's the first thing that and Patricia, I don't know if you know that either, but just letting you know that we have shortened it. And so, with that being said, the point system that we had for the application is evolving as well. And so, the scoring rubric, okay, thank you, Amy. That is definitely under the leadership of our wonderful Miss Destiny. To go cut it. But anyway, so the question is just, I think that it worked out best when we had the application on SurveyMonkey. They saw the instructions and saw the point system, it was helpful. But with this rubric, it's a little bit different in style, and how we're doing things. So I just wanted to make sure that one, we got approval that this is how we're doing it, and just have a little bit more discussion about the rubric so that I can know what narrative to attach with it, if that makes sense. So I can put it on the application, I can put it on the AOE website, but just making sure that I have the green flag for the rubric, that we're good to go, and just kind of how like we have the scoring guidance, but just wanted to make sure that this is what we're going with before I put the narrative attached to it. Destiny?
Yeah, so I remember our last meeting. I don't know what we asked for you to change on the rubric. I really don't know. Um, I'm gonna have to go look at the recording, but I do remember there was something we asked to be changed with the rubric. And so I can't give the answer of like if this is the rubric, like yes, that's what it is. When I glance at it right now, it's like, oh, that's great. But I don't want to say that's great. And a month ago we said something else and it wasn't on here
It's
yet.
different.
But
Mhm.
I'm sure that you have been following along. So I would just advise you to go back and see that question because I'm pretty sure we had gave some feedback on the previous rubric of what we should take out or what we may not need or something like that. Um, and
Anthony, are
then
you
I think
highlighting? Oh, sorry. Are you highlighting that because that was what we needed to? Is that what we were talking about? The language change from where you have highlighted?
Yeah. Number three, we needed to kind of give more information. So Avery, this is the correct one actually right here.
Okay.
okay.
I think that
And go. And then I think that when you share this, I think you should only share the category in the description, but they don't need to see the weight or the scoring guidance, right? I think that this should be one of the first things they see before they start applying. Because for me, if I know I can't reach 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm not even about to waste my time to do this. Or if I know I need to reach that, I know what I need to work for throughout the year to be able to reach a high standard of an application, right? So I think it's just full transparency. The category and description they need to know. I don't think it matters the weight. It just needs to give them a direction of what they're trying to achieve. And it's a good way. So when we give them a no if they don't pass, we can at least have something that we give them feedback on, like, hey, for number one, you didn't have attributes of service excellence, or you weren't able to tell your narrative clearly. So we were a little confused because the goal is not to break them down, but it is to say you didn't reach the goal this time, but next year we would love for you to apply. This is how you're going to meet that goal, right? We don't want to keep them from applying. We want people to continue to apply and actually reach the goal. And if we can give them what we're looking for, we can give better feedback for them to meet the goal the next year. or to have workshops, whatever that looks like. Again, I'm thinking succession plans.
Destiny, you are spot on. That's the feedback that I was also looking for. So thank you.
And the
I-
website, I think I said website, but application and website,
yeah.
both of them.
Okay. Okay. Amy?
I think so. Um, I think we should think about leaving the weight on there because I think otherwise it's assumed that it's 25, 25, 25, 25. And if it's really not, I think it might be helpful for the people to understand where they need to put their primary focus area. I think for a lot of grant awards and funding, it kind of does give that guidance. I think that might be helpful. I think I'm kind of at a loss. I know I missed the meeting before and I apologize. But in the first one, it says assess how it demonstrates excellence across key attributes such as, but then it doesn't tell what those key attributes are. And I guess what I'm wondering is one of the big things last year that stood out to me in reviewing applications was schools that had one program that had 15 kids that did amazing, but then other schools that actually engaged all. So is one of the key attributes like participation across the entire student body? Or are we not looking at kind of that this year?
So I don't know the answer to that, but here's the thing where I think of it from an opportunity standpoint. You can have a private school whose parents who have a 2-parent household who have nannies and things. I don't want to assume that's very stereotypical. I'm sorry,
Yep.
but you mostly have a higher income if you're able to go to a private school, so you're able to have resources to allow your child to participate in other activities. Whereas like if you come from a lower social economic income, you may not have transportation to get somewhere. So you may not be participating. Your school members may not be able to participate as if a school has the ability of active caregivers, not active, more engaged caregivers in that aspect. And so to me, that's my red flag is like, you can't ding a school if not everyone has opportunity to participate. Or sports may be their way out of something and that's where they have to spend their energy, so I'm just thinking about that aspect.
I think for me, I appreciate that. I think for me, it's a little bit more, it's a little different than that. It's more, are you only putting any energy and only motivating the circle, the Kiwanis Club to do the service? Or are you saying like, hey, our whole school can participate and you can participate either by giving money, raising awareness, like that there's ways to, that it's not all money and financial, but it's the idea that like the basketball team is doing something, the first and second grader do it, that it's not just one little, I guess, and it might be
So
helpful. I don't know if we can share applications from last year, but there were some that were just, it was very obvious that there was one teacher with one club that was doing awesome things, but there wasn't like a school of excellence. We talked about it was almost like an organization within the school was great, but the entire school was not have this sense of community and community participation.
So what I'm hearing is offering service learning or volunteer opportunities across the school is what you're saying. It doesn't matter the percentage, but you at least want the opportunities to be offered across the school, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking more of like a school spirit of volunteerism versus just a club, one club that volunteers. Does that,
Okay,
since it's a school of excellence, I think that's, for me, it's not, it's more about like, is this something that is promoted, celebrated, recognized, encouraged? Is the school leadership behind this? Or is this just, you've got one amazing teacher that's working with one small subsector of students, which is also great, but it's hard when you're then trying to categorize them as an entire school of excellence. Does that make, like, Candace, does that make sense from our application last year where we had that one really strong group, but it was really just one small group in the school? Maybe
Yeah.
you can describe it better than I am. Sorry, Destiny.
No, I think that you are describing it well. I don't know. I have split feelings about that, because I do. So I kind of have to, just sort of lean on you guys because that application that comes in, that one group may have done more than all the applications of all the schools. So I have split feelings about that, but I do hear what you're saying. but how to address it, I'm not sure.
Well, and see, that's what I was going to say, Candace, with the thing that you put in there about an example. I would say for each of these things, give a one sentence example of this is what we're like, this is what we're looking for, or something like taking something from an application that did well. You don't have to take the whole thing, just like, for example, this project. And it gives people an understanding of, oh, okay, so this is where we're going with this, that direction aspect. You don't have to give specifics for things, but it can be, it helps people understand. It gives that frame, like, like the only thing that comes to mind, like bowling, where you have like the little, like if you're terrible and you need the gutter protector thingies, so whatever you call them, but it gives you the guidelines. That too.
That sounds good, Patty. And I was also going
Great.
to say that too, Candace. Let's use the video too to offer more.
Well, that would actually make it accessible as well to everybody, to where it's like anybody who needs the watching the video with like the either closed captioning, any of that stuff, that adds for the just
It
any
opens
kind
us
of
up.
disability. Yeah. So
Excellent point. Excellent point, Patricia. Excellent point. We had talked about it, but we're not quite there yet. I think the rubric is the last part of what we just need to do, and then we can move into what that little 5-minute video, would look like that we can attach to this for people. So thank you all for your input. We have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to be quiet.
No, is that what you needed? Because I love to move forward with things. So
No,
you let us know.
no.
We don't want to keep.
This is the feedback that I was looking for, because like I said, the rubric I think is off to a great start, but just where you guys provided clarity. So I can take our feedback from today. I will add it to the application from what you suggested. Just one more thing. Are we adding the weight or are we not adding the weight?
This isn't the hill I'm gonna die on. So if we want the
You-
weight, we
you're
can
not
throw
gonna
the
die on
weight.
it?
To me, I'm like, they just need the category and description. But if you find value in weight, at the weight. I just like to give ourselves internally some conversation
wiggle
on what
room,
this
yeah.
is, because when you start throwing in weights and people see that weight, then they can start nitpick. Well, I saw Jim's application and that wasn't like Anthony's application, and I think that we should have had so that's why I'm like, just give them the category and description, and then internally we're the ones who need to know, and we stay true to that. But I also love transparency, so go ahead and throw that weight in there
Patricia,
if that's what y'all see
Amy,
fit.
are you guys agreeable for that? I'm not gonna make the final decision. Jim, y'all gotta make the final decision on that one.
No,
Actually,
you
yeah,
had me at
no,
transparency. That's what I like too. So
You like
no,
transparent?
I
Patty
would
cakes,
say
you like
yeah.
transparency?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I would include the weight, not just for transparency,
Okay.
but you think about how each person thinks, and it's like not just the accessibility, but it kind of hits each way of like if somebody's all about the data and they understand something of, okay, this is 50%, this is 25%, so I need to spend this much time for this and all that stuff, and it can actually help with the processing of information and when they get the thing out, meaning like when they're responding to it, they can understand, okay, this is just how they
I got you,
process
Pat.
that.
I
So
got you, Patricia.
I just
I
can't
do.
say it as eloquently as I want.
No,
to.
because Destiny she's been eloquent all hour. But no, I hear you. I definitely hear you. So I will add it. I will add a couple of examples, and I will get the final as soon as I'm able to get back in SurveyMonkey. I'll work on it. I'll try my best to get the final product out to you guys very, very, very soon. Absolutely before August. I want this done. Wrapped up, present, bow.
Yes, I would love to
Yes,
present this at the next commission meeting, not for
you got
feedback,
it.
but to tell them this is what we're doing.
This is
And
it. You got it.
yeah,
Did
You got
that
it.
is that with the scoring guidance too? Would you include? Because I
Yes,
think that would be helpful
absolutely.
as well to have like just the whole thing, so that way people can understand, like when they're looking at what they've finished, kind of like how Destiny had to write out the thing so she
Yeah.
couldn't, just say it and no. It's kind
Yeah.
of like that where I'm thinking, well, if somebody can write out what they say and they look at it as like, is this understandable? All that, and so they can actually go in their like a mental guidance thing through the
No,
scoring.
I will. It will absolutely include the rubric. And I'll have the sample application. And if all goes well, the presentation goes well, we'll go ahead and move into that quick narrative video, and then it'll be available for everyone to send out or invite,
Perfect.
maybe a better word.
Great. We're 2 minutes over, so I'm gonna be very respectful of that. Anybody have anything for the betterment of the good? Of the group, whatever. Y'all know what I meant to say.
Thanks
No,
always
thank
to
you.
you.
That's
and the
when the
staff.
eloquence goes out the window at the end.
Listen, it's after 12. It only lasts for an hour. It only
It
lasts.
only right, it is to 59 seconds, and then that's it. But
Yes.
I've got what I need. Thank you. Thank you all. Y'all have been great today. Thank you. Thank you.
Amy, Patricia, y'all good?
Yeah, I put in the chat. Just, I always like to say, I appreciate all that the commission staff are doing, and Destiny, I thank you for your leadership with this group, so.
You guys can just type faster than I can. That's why I just put the mic off or whatever, because by the time I get my words out, everybody's on to the next thing.
Well,
So
thank you,
I'm
Patricia. We appreciate it. Anything.
No, I'm just realizing that like everybody likes to do the typing thing, even when I'm in a webinar and people will respond, I'm like, I'm still trying to type out the thing.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank y'all. And also, just after we have our commission meeting in August, we can have another foundation of service meeting, right? Because after commission meeting, we're hoping we're moving forward. We can discuss what the video looks like, all those things. So after commission meeting, hear from Anthony or myself about the next date. And please mark that on your calendar, share with your friends so everybody can be at the next committee meeting and commission meeting.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, Amy, you won't be there. It's okay. I'll miss you. Oh,
It's
you're muted.
August and it's back to school, so I have
Oh, yeah.
I have a meeting with the new faculty, and then I have a meeting with all the new graduates